In the early 1980s, the switch to front-wheel drive was on. On some vehicles, you had an axle on one side that was this long, the other side it was this long. But these cars only had 100, maybe 150 horsepower, so torque steer was not a huge consideration. But today, we have front-wheel drive cars and SUVs that have close to 250 to 300 horsepower powering the front wheels. So there needs to be a solution to torque steer. This is where the intermediate shaft comes into play. This shaft allows the transmission to run equal length axles to get rid of the torque steer. But this is a service opportunity for you, the shop. And in some cases, it can be difficult to diagnose. There are a couple signs to look for failure inside an intermediate shaft. First of all, examine the bearing. It's a bearing, so it has seals. And when the seals fail, the rolling elements inside the bearing itself can fail. This can create noise and play in the shaft itself. The other consideration, well, it's the splines themselves. You have a spline that goes into the transmission and also a spline that goes into the other wheel. With 250, 300 horsepower, well, that puts a lot of stress on this intermediate shaft. And over time, the splines can be damaged if they're not properly installed. So it's key if you're installing one of these shafts that you make sure the circ clips are not reused and the shaft has new circ clips to hold it either on the transmission side or on the axle side itself. Corrosion is also another issue. If there's corrosion on this axle itself, it may prevent the seals either right here at the wheel itself or on the transmission side to start to leak. When it starts to leak, well, other things can get inside and not just that grease or other transmission fluid getting out. So it's critical that these are sealed to either the bearing block on the other side or the housing and also at the transmission itself. So what are the signs of failure of an intermediate shaft? Well, first of all, noise. But noise in this area of the vehicle, well, it's actually pretty common. You have wheel bearings that are going bad that can make noise. A CV axle can make noise. So it's critical as part of your diagnosis on a vehicle with an intermediate shaft that you're isolating the sound and making sure that it comes from the intermediate shaft itself, because the axle still could be good. They always say with progress comes opportunity. And the intermediate shaft on a lot of these vehicles is a service opportunity because these will fail along with the CV axles on the vehicle, and it's critical as a technician that you inspect these components when you're underneath the vehicle to make sure they're operating smoothly. I'm Andrew Markell. Thank you very much.